This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
As we continue our special on U.S. drone strikes, we turn now to the killing of a 67-year-old Pakistani grandmother last year. In a moment, we'll be joined by her son and two grandchildren, 9-year-old Nabila and 13-year-old Zubair. But first, another clip from Unmanned, America's Drone Wars.
My name is Rafiq Ur Rahman. I am a primary school teacher. I've been teaching for 10 years. We strive to eradicate illiteracy so our children can be educated and have a bright future. This is my daughter Nabila. This is my daughter Asma. Zubair Ur Rahman is my son. We have our own land and grow our own food.
People enjoyed life before the attacks.
It was 2:45 p.m. on October 24th of 2012. After school finished, I went into town to buy school supplies.
I was in the fields tying up bundles.
I got back in the car and bought sweets for the children.
When I got home, I was drinking tea. After the first sip, the drone hit. The house shook.
The dust flew.
The roof shook and the ground trembled.
I ran, then I got hit.
I ran out, and there was all this dust and smoke.
I was hit from behind and wounded.
Then I ran to the house. I was bleeding and I got bandaged.
I knew there would be a second strike.
Usually drones strike a second time after 5 or 10 minutes.
It's to kill the relatives who came out to help.
Then 5 minutes later, it came again.
Then I fell down right there, and I thought I was dying, and I was shouting, "I am dying."
The injured children had been taken to various hospitals for treatment.
The attack was on October the 24th. I came from Islamabad and interviewed the family in Peshawar clinic. But in general, you know, the sense was of a family that had had a very traumatic experience, that were very upset.
These are the x-rays of the children who were hit by the drone. This is the x-ray of my nephew whose leg was broken in the attack. They operated on him. These are the iron rods that they put in his legs. When I reached the house, I saw my mother's sandals lying on the ground. When I saw her sandal, I knew she had died. Neighbors told me she had been thrown about 25 feet away. That's when I saw my mother on the ground. And I ran towards her, but the neighbors wouldn't let me near her. They said, "You cannot see this." She had so many wounds. My mother was brutally killed. That's where my mother was killed. She was, as the saying goes, like a treasure of prayers. I used to discuss all my problems with her. She used to console me, and I would forget all my worries. My family has been destroyed since my mother was killed.
Atiq and Rafiq, whose mother had been killed in this attack, you know, obviously, as anyone would be, they were angry and they were very upset.
The blasts were very powerful. They have damaged the rooms badly. This one's got cracks in it. This needs to be fixed so it doesn't fall during the rains. Before these attacks started, there was peace and happiness in our area. When those drones attacks started and our mother was killed, they destroyed our entire family. They have wreaked havoc in our lives and happiness.
You have people living in constant fear that they're not safe in their own homes or in their streets or in their locality. They live in fear that they would be attacked and they could die, or their children or their property or their land could be seriously affected.
They buzz around 24 hours a day, so I'm always scared. I cannot sleep.
An excerpt from Robert Greenwald's new film, Unmanned, America's Drone Wars. We're joined now by the Rahman family, who have just traveled to the United States from Pakistan. On Tuesday, they became the first victims of U.S. drone wars to address members of Congress on Capitol Hill. We're now joined by Rafiq Rahman and his 13-year-old son, Zubair, and his 9-year-old daughter, Nabila. For our TV viewers, we're showing some of the pictures that Nabila drew of the U.S. drones flying above her home in Pakistan. Both children were wounded in the drone attack that killed their grandmother. Their translator is Michelle Khaliji. Welcome all of you to Democracy Now! And I'd like to start with you, your reaction when you first heard of the attack on your mother and your children.
بیا دلته د کلی ماشومانو نه ما پښتنه بلاره کې چې کومه دلته د مونږ قبرستان دی قبرستان کې زموږ کلیوال لګیا وي کنه
I had gone to Miran Shah to buy some things from the bazaar, and so then when I returned, I had noticed that in the graveyard on the outskirts of our village, they were preparing for a burial.
دا قبرستان د میش خلک کندلو کلیوال امیش په ول شو امیش په مرداګونه شو بیا ډېر پریشان شول چې زه یې کله کلی ته ورسېد د کیشو بیا وړي بچو نه ما پښتنه وکړه چې ګا برچاته کندي مو ته ویل مستر ور لطیف رحمان چې دا خو مې امریکا په ډرون وشتلو ته کندي امړل
I had asked some little children they had to who they were preparing the burial for, and they said this is Latif Rahman's mother, and that's my older brother. So I knew at that point that my mother had been killed by an American drone.
Zubair, you are 13. You were with your grandmother picking okra. It was the day before Eid. Describe what happened.
نو هغه ورځ اختر نه مخکې وه نو موږ ته ووایي څه شوي دي هغه ورځ باندې
په هغه ورځ د سکول ته ورو سکول جوړ شو ډایرکټ کیر ته ورول چې کیر ته ورول نو ته وایي تو سجاره ته وځي میجو وځي چې صابونه بل ورځي د پر ځان نه خلاص کیږي خوشي وي
I had gone to school that day, and when I came back, I had a snack, and I offered my prayers, and my grandma asked me to come outside and help her pick the vegetables.
You were hit by this drone that killed your grandmother?
No ta khokshividi aga drone ban wajana.
Miș cear craje bădașe pas moșe dăm moșol kiz doa mizal roș me paniu posa wala niu me tokle kla mișta basiri watal mije zahmion kri.
Yes, I had seen a drone and 2 missiles hit down where my grandmother was standing in front of me, and she was blown into pieces, and I was injured to my left leg.
And Nabila, the two of you were not the only ones of your family that were injured as well. Could you talk about what happened to you, what you recall, and your reaction?
Oveche sa shividi aga razbande or sta dimag ke sa soch kolo.
Para monio ta preventing gavale preventing ekale biamen yorta ave jatan ta charta wo dande bindai ta sabota idda janina nakla biam zar gali sarawati zachapa zama mole ta ekale pa khroxta shwala dogo bindai jo khata bia pas moncha dam washol bia astrogle kije.
It was the day before Eid, so I was outside with my grandmother, and she was teaching me how to tell the difference between okra that was ripe and not ripe. We were going to prepare it for our Eid dinner the next day, and then I had heard a dum-dum noise. Everything became dark, and I had seen 2 fireballs come down from the sky.
You all testified before Congress. You were one of the first people to do this. Rafiq Rahman, what is your message to America?
Taso tol bayan rakolo Congress makhamak or da kho walne kar taso kolo no taso welwari Americananta.
Zamene kananta da welwano che de da merbani wo ki da zram jotai da ban ko de sara ji ki mandano to che khali mijmer ya mijma shamon ya be guna kabail mreji bachon mreji balke de sara che ki mad mijo bachon o shazinata zehni taklipina o je ki mad de talim zaya ki.
What I'd like to say to them is please find a way to end these drones, because it's not only affecting me and my children, and it's not only because they were injured, it's affecting their future. I'm worried that the education will be disrupted and that they will not want to continue.
And have you ever been contacted either by U.S. government officials or by the Pakistani government officials to explain to you why this attack occurred?
Why your mother was killed?
Kala da American hukumat ya da Pakistani hukumat sarkari officer ta sara khabar kolo ya weli di che ta jawab ra kolo che das wali shivi di sta mor sara.
Mishwa wala political agenda de klima shano jargaver bastliwa kana ya sara me khabara kri wa che de mishtara che kimat das yotai sha khay mishta das sanadi veli kya shawada ya veli shivi di kan job mishta chana darokan.
I did communicate with the local political officer of my village and to find a reason and answer, but he was unable to give me an answer.
Have you been compensated for the death of your mother, for your children's grandmother?
Kala sukta ta pese ra kolo da stamur marwajana. No one's given me anything.
Super, what did your grandmother, Mama Nabibi, mean to you?
Sta niya barike khabaro ka.
Emish niyo khodera rashda tol kali chakara mrashwa tol kali ta wida tos niyo no balke emish tol kali niyo ada ka emish bande dera zarwedela.
My grandmother, there was no one else like her. She was full of love. And when she passed away, all my friends told me that you weren't the only one who lost a grandmother. We all lost a grandmother because everyone knew her in the village.
And Nabila, you're 9 years old. How have things changed for you since the attack? How's your going out again, out into the fields alone, or do you fear again other possible attacks?
Sta dwan sanga badal shvidi da strike na pas the barzi the yarigi
awal shara koyes chikala pamish drone basha es no kandar ezar tem dare word mashna mana pradi khalak tol khalak dare.
Ever since the strike, I'm just scared. I'm always scared. All of us little kids, we're just scared to go outside.
Do you fear another strike, Super? You have had numerous operations on your leg.
The yarigi che yo bal strike ba oshi mata pata da che dwa operation shividi sta khpa bande.
Your message to America.
زه خو ډېر ځکه چې مې به ګناه وشتي زه خو نه بلکې ټول کله ډېر تو چې به ګناه وشتي دا خو بیا چارپټه زه په کلی ډېر ځم چې بیا مې ولې ځکه امریکا ظالم اګنه خلک ولي.
I am scared because of what has happened to me ever since then, and I don't understand why this has happened to me. I've done nothing wrong.
Your message to America.
No tam rikanan ta so wel wari.
Amerikanin da wel goda چې دی دا خپل حکومت ته چې دا ډرون حمله باندې کو ځکه چې دا خو یو دان چې خالي میږي شاید کړم یا میږي یې زخمیون کړی بلکې میږي تعلیم یې ځای کړو میږي.
What I'd like to say to the American people is please tell your government to end these drones because it's disrupting our lives.
Rafiq, Nabil and Zubair Rahman.